Shoulders pulled back, chest spread open, and the lower back tight. When I tense my lower back, it drives my sitting bones down into the cushion and thrusts my chest upwards. Okay. Let's look at the breathing. There's chest breathing or thoracic breathing and abdominal breathing. The basic difference is with the chest breathing, I'm expanding the chest to bring the air in and then letting that relax to squeeze the air out. And I expand the chest by pulling it open like this, but largely from the lower back tensing. So let's just try a little bit of that. So I stretch open here to suck air in. And I want to feel it really coming from the tensing of the lower back. And then I just relax that and the air will come out. So there's a tensing phase, which is the lower back, which breathes in. And then there's a relaxation phase, letting go in the lower back, and the diaphragm rises and pushes the air out. So breathing in. Chest is expanding, which is happening because the lower back is getting tight, and then my lower back relaxes and the chest collapses and the air comes out. This is the breathing that would happen largely if you were running, if you had to get a lot of oxygen into your body quickly. You'd really heave and draw the air into the chest. want the chest to really, it's almost like the bones have to free from each other. It's the sternum, really. It's like it sort of splits in two. Remember when we started weight training, largely in Highgate? And when I started, my chest was 38 inches, and after 2 months, it was 45. And that wasn't because I put on muscle, it's simply because the chest had opened from all the weights we were doing, bench presses and the rowing. Heart work has got a lot to do with just expanding this area. And this sort of breathing is not normally practiced in meditative disciplines because they don't need to get a lot of oxygen in because they're not moving. So let's try the abdominal breathing now. So it's just like the reverse of that. So there we were tensing the lower back to breathe in. And now with the abdominal breathing, you tense the belly to breathe out. So here I pull the belly in and I breathe everything out, squeezing my diaphragm up from the inside to squeeze the air out. And then I relax that and air will gush in. And then I squeeze the belly again, so tensing the belly muscles to really reduce its volume and then letting it expand out. That will suck the diaphragm down and bring air in. So I'm breathing out on the tense phase now and breathing in on the relaxation phase. This one is important because that idea of using muscles to breathe out is something we're not used to. So squeezing, emptying as much as possible is what they talk about in yoga, getting rid of all the stale air in the lungs so that fresh air can come in. So when we breathe, normally it's sort of a combination of those two. So what we're trying to do, the foundation is the legs largely, but it's really just getting this area, the belt of the waist, toned and together. It's like you have a rubber corset on. So there's never really relaxation in this area. It's sort of, the relaxation of tension is moving around, but there's always part of it that's working. And now let's just try the breathing again, but now feel, so I pull the belly in, I tighten my belly, feel the back being stretched, and then let the back kick in. So the belly is relaxing now, but the back is tensing. So there's never really a place where there's pure relaxation. Then the belly sucks in. Then the back. You're opening the chest here, the back is really tightening, and that stretches the belly, which then kicks in. So I don't let the back go until the belly has kicked in, and I don't let the belly go until the back has kicked in. Then let it slip into rowing. It must be one of the few physical exercises that really gets this long, extended range of motion. Tightening the back to pull my elbows back, then really tightening the belly to extend my hands forwards. If I can knit the back and the belly together properly, then when I work that machine, it will generate spirit, excitement, intensity. It's not just generating movement. Something inside is heating up, is boiling. One hand at a time. Up and down. Like the rowing we started with, but swimming, like the breaststroke. We reach out, pulling the belly in, and then, like you're parting the waves, the hands have to go out to the side and then roll around behind you. Using the belly to extend the hands forwards. Now using my back. And then the belly. And then same thing, but one at a time. So the hand ends up sort of behind you. Like I'm reaching forward, scooping something out of the way. And then just pulling that hand behind. So as far behind as you can get it, the other hand on the opposite knee. And slowly inch your way round. Each time you breathe out, you can go around a few more millimeters. The other side. And the other side again. And then again, the other side. Rub the hands. Feel the belly lower back. Every time I breathe in, my lower back tightens a little. Every time I breathe out, my belly tightens a little. There's always work going on in that region. Now rubbing the knees, but getting it coming from this heaving action in the belly and the lower back. The work is all about awareness, becoming more aware, seeing what's happening, seeing the workings, the mechanics really. Clearly distinguish full and empty. All the phases are clear. Like dismantling the motor, cleaning all the parts, inspecting all the parts for wear, and then putting it back together so that it works more smoothly. Good. And stretch your leg. And the other. And the other one again. And the other one again. Then back to the squat. Then let's just go into the plank for a minute. So send the feet back. And then down onto the elbows. This is when you realize how long a minute is. Now let's just thread the hands through. And then up into the sumo squat. Feel the feet as like extensions of your sitting bones. Real strength in the lower back. Push the chest up and expand it. Remember how it felt when we were down there, sort of wobbly because the balance is precarious. Would like it to feel like that all the time. Something in me is sort of a bit wobbly. Now let's just start by just jogging on the spot, slipping from side to side. This is like the full and empty. Like the rhythm of the heartbeat. We want to feel the heartbeat not as a march, not as a 1, 2, 1, 2, but as a 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The legs absorbing the body. They're like shock absorbers. I sink into the leg and it springs me back out of it. Heels always off the ground when we're doing this. It becomes meditation. it slows down. We have those three rhythms in the body: the heartbeat, the breathing, and the craniosacral rhythm. We're trying to slow down the heartbeat and the breathing to bring it into the craniosacral. Good. And then finally into riding horse. We're still, the body is sort of still, but it's never really still. There's always this sort of play between the two sides. This is what we have to be really careful that we keep that. So whenever we have a symmetrical posture, you just have to be careful it doesn't become stiff and frozen. It's always breathing. There's always at least two phases, an in-breath and an out-breath. Slowly let it become the breathing, but feeling it again as belly, lower back. My lower back is tightening, and then my belly is tightening. I want to feel the tightness in the lower back expanding the chest. Like the warrior poses of yoga, the chest really open, an aggressive heart. I'm working to breathe in, but I'm also working to breathe out. This is my belly contracting. Now let's keep it going, but turn with it. So as you open up, turn to the side or to the corner. And then as you pull everything back in and close down, come back to the front. And try to feel the tension in the lower back, like extending down the legs, sort of straightening the legs to push me round. And then the belly tightening, pulling the legs back in. And now let's just turn like the first warm-up exercise. Rather than simply turning the waist, so feeling it from the hips and just doing this. I want to feel it from the legs alternating really. So this leg is straightening and then it bends to pull me back to the front. This leg straightens and then bends. It's the two sides of my body cooperating with each other to produce this turn. I want as much action as possible in my torso. I feel my spine as my two legs that have come up and coiled around each other. So they coil one way and then they uncoil and then they coil the other way. feel that now. You're sort of twisting inside, even though your body's still. Feel gravity. Very heavy, dense, and feeling like it's growing, it's expanding, pushing my hips apart, and it's slowly melting, like it's dripping from the coccyx, it's flowing downwards. When I can just be with that, just accept it, accept the pain, allow the pain in, allow the pain, the feeling of sinking to possess you, then you get that rising levity. And that rising levity is very childlike. Now, just move from leg to leg. And I really want to be clear in my mind. I can feel both legs. One leg is supporting me. That allows the other leg to expand into a curve, which scoops me back. The thing about the world that we've made for ourselves, sort of urban world, or the world of objects, is that all of those objects are dead, pretty much. They don't possess spirit. So in a sense, I'm most alive when I am least like the objects that I am surrounded by. And so what they do not have, they have gravity because they have material that they're made of stuff, but they don't have the levity because they don't have spirit. So that's the thing we must always concentrate on. The lightness that stops you from just being what John used to call a sack of potatoes, just being a lump of shit, basically. And this is, we tend to become more like the sack of potatoes the older we get. And you see it in people from, they tend to put on weight and they lose tone in their midriff, their bellies flop out. And they become, in their minds anyway, sort of stuck in the mud. So they lose that ability to just lift inside. And this is what we're always working on in Tai Chi. So there's something in me that just, it allows this energy to extend out in order to claw me back. And it's the imagination. It's I have to see it. I have to want it. I have to believe in it. As soon as it becomes a pattern, a habit, it's sort of become an object, it's become a thing, a material thing. I want to always be shunning that. Back to riding horse. And then just feel the wings. So when we get this feeling of scooping, either with the arm or with the leg, then it activates the wings. The wings will come out. So you've got these wings here that come out and wrap around the legs. You've got the wings from your shoulder blades that come around here, and the wings from here. Feel that. So if we can sink inside in the right way, the energy will spring out from behind, the wings will come out. And now let's work with them. 2 circle exercise. Thinking in terms of catching the energy that's behind you and teasing it around to the front. energy, awareness, imagination. It's all the same thing. Five years in Blakeney. This is all we were working on, just working on this sort of imagination energy, the imaginal world. And then in ancient times, they used to meditate in caves because that was like the darkest, quietest place you could find. And what they found was that if they could really quieten their mind, then they'd have visions, which obviously have nothing to do with the space they were in. It was all from the inside. And so it's like, imagine that space that is so quiet, but really just full of potential. full of possibility. It's almost buzzing with electricity. That's the sort of mind that we have to be able to create to allow energy to manifest, especially this sort of imaginative energy. Something in me has to expand, and this is just spirit again. Something in me can just push the limits of my awareness. And it's like a really intent listening. You're listening for that pin that drops. I read recently, I can't remember where, but he was saying that if you actually do open up the imagination, bring it back to how it was before you were crushed into the mold. It's basically like taking LSD. It's like a psychedelic trip. The reality that opens up to you. Okay, let's try the tree, just with this view of opening the legs. So I want this feeling that my thighs, my inner thighs, roll out to take me down. And then they roll back in to bring me back up. So going down into the ground and then sucking something up the spine, into the arms, reaching up to the sky and bringing something down. I want to get deeper into my posture because my knees have opened. Then I can maintain that feeling of levity inside. The sinking doesn't get me down emotionally, just gets me down physically. And in fact, the deeper I go, the more something lifts up into my heart. Okay, now let's try some of the going backwards and forwards. Feeling the movement coming from the bending of the straight leg. I'm going to bend my front leg. Remember, when I bend it, my knee doesn't just go forwards, it goes out to the side, and my hip sinks in this way. So I'm bending the leg, brings me forwards, and then again, the back leg bends, but the knee goes out, doesn't just go along its plane. Make sure that it is the bending leg that's moving me, not the bent leg that's straightening. So I have to really be determined to stay in this foot so that this leg really has to pull to get me moving. And then you'll feel something coming up. The heart is being buoyed up. As you come into the foot, there's a surge up from the heel. And the other foot forwards, pulling with the leg. And as I feel it, this is lifted. I pull the back leg. And again, as I sink into the leg, this is buoyed up. Knees separating. Sacrum heavy, but the sternum light, and the sacrum very much right underneath the sternum. Big toes pushing down, tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Dan Chen with a little bit of mind, a little bit of tension in it. So those three anchor the mind, stop it from wandering. And then feel the perineum and the crown of the head. Again, like a little knot, like two threads are knotted together at those places. The presence of mind, stopping things from just flailing and separating and dissipating. And relaxing the sacrum. So not gripping the sacrum with your hips fearfully and tightly. That is always wanting to separate. And then let's try the figure of 8. So the difference between this and the 2 circle exercise is that now both hands are tracing the figure of 8 around the foot. So this hand is with its normal circle, but this hand joins it. Just want to be aware what the 2 hands are doing. So the outside hand is sort of flying off like this, and because it's attached, it makes a circle. And the other hand is coming into this joint, or you can think of it as going down into the foot. We want to feel the connection, the very clear, direct connection between the hand and its opposite foot. So this hand is rooting with this foot, and that allows the other hand to fly off and circle around on top. So it's like holding the ball in the form, but just feeling the bottom hand. You can think of it as going down to the foot or just scooping into the hip joint, clearing out the hip joint, smoothing its socket. And then just do one hand at a time. So the hand goes up and then comes down into this joint, down to the ground, and then up. And then you can think of it's coming through this point, or just reaching over your shoulder to bring the wing around. Down into the opposite leg, and then up over the same shoulder and pulling the energy from behind. And then the other hand down. I'm just making the figure of eight really with my arm. But the bottom loop of the figure of eight is going down into the opposite side of the body, into the opposite leg, which is a bit more realistic and more connected. Sinking into this foot and then up, coming over this shoulder to catch the wing and bringing it around. Imagination becomes reality. If you use the mind in the right way, then you don't just imagine these structures, you create them. And then doing them both together. It's basically the figure of eight exercise, that the bottom loop just goes into the opposite foot. So the two figures of eights effectively cross over. Back to riding horse for a sec. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. That should be automatic. That's all the time, whenever you're not speaking or eating. And big toes pressing down. Little tightness in the dantian, in the perineum. Okay, now let's use that figure of eight we've just been doing to step. Connecting left foot, right hand, and vice versa. Bring the left foot up. Okay, now we're going to step out with the left foot, and that's going to pull the right hand with it. So as I step out with the left foot, the right hand is pulled, and the right hand digs down into the foot in order to basically establish a root. Now the other hand is going to pull the other foot along the ground and up the leg. So you end up holding the ball, but you've sort of operated upon your opposite foot. Now, when my right foot steps out, it takes my left hand with it. I then bring my weight into the right foot, and the other hand starts dragging the left foot along the ground and up. It just takes a bit of practice, but eventually it just feels so right. I have a student, and she's really hard and in her mind all the time. And whenever I introduce something new, she gets into a panic because she knows she's not going to be able to do it. Whereas this, just introduced it, she was just doing it beautifully. This is like how the body wants to work. And what I find with this exercise, it really lightens up inside and stimulates the imagination. So the foot that goes out takes the hand with it, and then the hand that goes out takes the foot with it. Something about this, it sort of unifies upper and lower body. You just become one thing much more readily. And with all of these exercises, we want to continue doing it until it takes us into heightened awareness of some sort, till it changes us, it changes our energy, rouses the spirit, and just makes us a different shape. And really, that's what the work is all about, just about heightened awareness. You think in the Castaneda books, all the instruction he received was under heightened awareness, which is why when he came out of that awareness, he couldn't remember it. He had to then work like a Trojan to retrieve the teaching that was buried inside him. And that's very, very much like what John was teaching. This is our version of Castaneda's gate of power. Gate as in G-A-I-T. Feel the connection between the foot and the hand. So as I sink into this foot, this hand has to drag the emptying foot with it. Okay. Okay, let's just bring it back. And some knees rolling out with the thighs, but the shins, the toes, sort of rolling the other way. So it's sort of contained, but wanting to burst out of itself. Tip of the tongue underneath the mouth, big toes, and chin. Crown of the head, a little tightness. So when you put your mind somewhere, it sort of gathers, the energy gathers into that point. And all of the, remember these points that we used to stimulate down the front line? You can just use the mind, you just sort of put your mind in the point, and then you'll feel a sort of tightening, like an astringency, it's sort of natural pulling in. But the mind is normally distracted, which means these energetic threads are flailing around and leaking. So we want to develop a mind that can just bring everything back to a focus so that we don't leak. Let's bring it up. Just feel the breathing. But John used to say, we get things wrong, not because they're too difficult, but because they're too easy. Breathing through the small hole in the mouth just makes it difficult to suck the air in and difficult to push the air out. So you have to activate the lower back and the belly. So to breathe in, I have to tighten the belly a little bit, as the back of me, and then to push the air out, I have to squeeze the belly. So I'm using this belt all the time.